left, right, face. Boom. Does your military do that half right face, front leaning rest position move? I don't actually know. Or do they actually physically beat you up still? I know in the US Army they're not allowed to beat you up no more because, like, I guess the military decided they shouldn't damage their product. Gotcha. Glock 19, someone calling MP. There's an eagle, locked and loaded. I don't know, just start singing a random cadence. But yeah, I've got 7 months left of my contract, or 6 months now. Not that I'm doing anything other than my, like, yearlies. There's basting, but is more tamed compared to 1950s and before. Yeah, I think militaries have realized if you, like, actually beat up your soldiers, you're just risking an early, like, separation. Like, just think about it. You're in boot camp, and you get the physical shit beat out of you, and you get injured, and then you end up on a permanent profile or something. Then you're fucking useless. So why would they spend the time and money on you, and then proceed to hurt you? Like, that's just logistics, you know? It makes no logistical sense to spend thousands, if not millions of dollars on people and then hurt them. Getting injured in training is one thing, but intentionally punishing with physical beatings? Like, they used to think, like, oh, it'll make your bones and skin stronger, but we find out later it just ended up in a lot of people getting disabled. Alright, you're going to Missouri. Oh, which one is that? Was that Fort Leonard Wood? Is that right? Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri? I don't remember. I went to Fort Sill in Oklahoma. Alright, it's Fort Leonard Wood. I was right! Yay, I'm still got military brain. But yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of military stories to tell too, but it's not what I like to focus on. Best time was when we took all the cadets in 10 fields doing combat training and experienced QCB bayonet training combat operations. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, my basic training cycle was kind of weird because it happened when COVID was happening. I'm a COVID enlistee, so basically, I kind of joined the military because, like, I had been working overseas in China, as I discussed before, and then COVID happened. So I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm not going to be unemployed in a foreign country where I barely know the language. So I'm like, alright, I'm going to come home. But then my aunt and uncle, you know, in a kind of narcissistic family system, they were like, no, you need to get a job. Ah, shit. You need to get a real job. You need to get a career. None more of this teaching English shit. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I have, like, no qualifications. And then I saw on my Indeed, Indeed.com recommendations, Army linguist or military linguist. And I'm like, oh, it's a linguist. I love languages. I misunderstood what it was. I thought it was going to be kind of like a contracting type of thing, but it was actually just joining the military. But there was pressure from my family, and I wanted to be free of them, so I kind of just bit the bullet and did it. I have so many mental health issues. If they did a proper psych eval, they probably would have turned me away, but they didn't. They're like, they just take your word for it. They don't have mental illness instead of actually fucking checking. Because now it's come out that, like, I've got so many things. Like, I have ADHD and autism probably, and some other stuff too. That I don't feel comfortable talking about because I'm still working through it myself. Needless to say, if any of this came up before joining, they'd have been like, hell the fuck no. So, believe me, once I'm out of the military, I'm definitely getting out of that fucking World War III chat. Let's be real. Yeah, I thought I invited you in my Discord too. But yeah, I wouldn't mind. I always look and see, like, when I'm in the mood to socialize, I'm like, oh, who's in what chat and where? But all that to say, yeah. Honestly, if I weren't getting separated for being transgender, stuff is coming out where I'd probably get separated for other reasons anyways. So, it is what it is. Yeah. But talking of China, while I was in China, I had an opportunity to travel some more. That feels like such a disconnect. Man. But I remember, like, my basic training cycle, I was sat here and, you know, ah, shit. I accidentally deleted some important stuff. There we go. Fixed it. But yeah, when I was there, I was like expecting to have the shit beat out of me, but that wasn't the case anymore. So that's good. Um, drill sergeants focused more about they made jokes that were more along the lines of like personally tailored insults versus disability or racial slurs and stuff. But yeah, my Discord isn't even open yet. I haven't opened it yet today. It was so funny. Actually, one example of a funny moment with my drill sergeant was like day one, right? We just got to the barracks and we're sat there in the barracks, And, drill sergeant comes in and says, toe the line. I want all of you on that line right now, because like there was like a line around the center of the room. Everyone stands away from their bed facing the center of the room at ease. Everyone is expected to be standing there at the position of parade rest. And then the drill sergeant shows up. And then, he did go around the circle, and there was still an icebreaker. So it was like, the drill sergeant was asking, like, where everyone came from, or just to introduce ourselves. Not in a fun kind of way, just kind of in a factual kind of way. They got to one of my battles, and he was like, good evening, drill sergeant. Like, he actually talked like that. And the drill sergeant thought he was being funny at first. He was like, the fuck you think you're doing, trainee? And then the drill sergeant's like, I just talk like this, drill sergeant. And drill sergeant's like, oh, I'm sorry. So that was the kind of insults that ended up having. They found ways to be funny and make fun of us without, like, turning to ableism or any other kind of thing. Gurkhas. Oh, yeah, they pick up on every minor detail. But I knew going in that no matter what the drill sergeants did, they ultimately want us to succeed. Having been a teacher before, I could tell they were having tough love, and they have a job to do, and they're supposed to be mean and rude. That's their job. But at the end of the day, I knew that the drill sergeants actually cared about it. The occasions when I do remember them caring were like, two occasions come to mind. One occasion that occurred was when my grandmother died when I was in basic training. I'd literally called her like 2 or 3 days before and wish her happy birthday. And then a couple days later, I got a Red Cross message saying, drill sergeant's like, specialist, name, Specialist Smith. I'm sorry to inform you, blah, blah, blah. And the drill sergeants at that point were like, what do you need? Tell us what you need, etc., etc. And all I was like is, I just need my phone. I need to check on my family, ask how they're doing. So that's when I saw some of their more human side. They do care about your well-being. They don't want you to be hurt, and they want you to succeed. Right? Another time I remember them caring was during our final field training exercise, the Forge. We were, it was day one of the Forge. We just finished our 10-mile hike, or 13-mile hike, however much it was. I forget exactly. It was raining, We were smoked in the rain a little bit, and we had a drill sergeant take off his wet gear and, like, do push-ups with us in solidarity. But as we were waiting for the rain to clear up for the remainder of the day, the sirens go off on the installation. a tornado warning goes through. And it was at that point the drill sergeants were no shit like, everyone get the fuck to the tornado shelters. No joke. Just go, go, go in an orderly fashion. And it was at that point where the drill sergeants totally switched from tough love, no shit, to this is drill sergeants. Genuinely, all of their energy is making sure we're okay. They gave us MREs. They put us in the storm shelters. They periodically walked through, made sure everyone was okay. You know, they didn't do any smokings. They were focused at that time of, we're going to take care of you. We're going to get you to safety. And that was when, like, we were sat in the tornado shelter for, like, 6 or 7 hours. Improper sleep. And then when, finally, the drill sergeants told us, like, hey, the buses are going to come back. We got to get you to the dorms. There's been several tornadoes going through installation today. We need to make sure you're safe. So we actually had part of the field exercise canceled because of tornadoes. Eventually, it was like 2 or 3 a.m., and the drill sergeants were like, all right, the buses are here. So we all squeezed on the buses with our large rucks. Damn, that was a tight fit. And we arrived back at the racks around, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 a.m. It was like 3 a.m., I think. And it was at that point that the drill sergeants told us, just go to bed. Don't worry about it. Just go the fuck to bed, trainees. And they let us sleep until 8 a.m. because they knew we were tired and we had to be ready for the next thing. You know, at the end of the day, when shit hit the fan, it was clear the drill sergeants genuinely cared about us. And I knew this from the beginning, but that was an opportunity to really see it. But yeah, ultimately drill sergeants are just military teachers. And that's the story of, like, some of my basic training stuff. You know. And then advanced training was so fucking long, it was wild. But yeah, I have so many stories to tell about the military. But I think telling about boot camp is a pretty good baseline for today. Because I do want to tell y'all about my wonderful time I had in Japan. You went on to the transport with your Bergens. What's a Bergen? Sorry, you're gonna have to translate that to fucking words my American brain can understand. No, we had to hike 10 miles with our gear. Like, we had a transport from... We had a transport for, like, our bigger duffel bags and our IOTVs. They didn't have us do the ruck with our... Okay. No, the 10-mile hike, and yeah, in actual practice, you're going to have a transport. In actual practice, you're going to carry maybe, 35, 25 to 30 pounds at most when you're going on a larger excursion. And you only carry the stuff you need to survive. But in the forge, they make sure you're carrying everything you could possibly need. It's really to simulate hiking with all your winter gear and wet weather gear and stuff as much as you need. And they expect you to be carrying it. I don't know how many kilometers that is, but yeah. No, we carried we were using a rucksack on the hike. Luckily, I don't imagine doing that hike again now that I have boobs. Oh my god, that must suck. It does suck. I have gone on hikes since then with wearing a rucksack now that I have boobs, and like, damn. But what was in the transport is, we had like a duffel bag with like all of our additional stuff, like our rifle, not our rifles, ammunition was on the transport, our kind of large green duffel bag with our extra supplies were on transport. But we hiked with most of our gear. Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. Did do tab runs. We did it for full time for 10 miles, and everyone's Bergens. We're all different weights depending on the regiment. Yeah, no. In basic training, everyone had the same weight. You're expected to carry 35 pounds, 10 miles at a roughly 2-mile-an-hour pace. No, that's not true. Wait, hold on. 10 miles. Yeah, 10 miles at a roughly 2.5, 3-hour mile pace. So we were hiking for about 4 miles with our rucksacks. I kind of got through it by just kind of willfully dissociating and imagining that I was on the Great Wall of China or I was walking on the beach or something to take my mind away from the moment. Which is not how it would work in practice. You need to stay aware, but you know, that's what I did to get through it. What's logistics like? Transport stuff? Yeah, it's later part of training that you have to practice with like branch specific. So the U.S. military is structured in like 2 or 3 steps depending on where you go. So I'm a linguist. That means my training had 3 steps. The first step, everyone has the same first step. It's going to combat training. BCT, basic combat training, boot camp. Everyone learns how to fire their weapon, go on a long road march, the basics of like military strategy and doctrine. Then everyone goes to an advanced training based on their specific job. So I was a linguist. So like the different people there were we had some medical people, some artillery people. So Fort Sill, Oklahoma is an artillery base. So it was a basic training, but it was also a one-stop training for artillery. So like the day after graduation, artillery soldiers go across the street and do their advanced training. Okay, so like supply specialist. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so like everyone has the same basic training. Infantry trains at Fort Benning. I don't know. This is unclass FOU, huh? Artillery trains at Fort Sill. So like the day after graduation, artillery would move across the street at Fort Sill, and every other job was waiting for their buses and their planes to go to advanced training. Most trainings are two steps: your basic and your advanced training. But my training was 3 steps. I'm a linguist, so you go to basic training, and then you go to language training, and then you go to advanced training. I can't go into the details. Some of this is unclass FOU. You know, it's not secret, but it is stuff that's like not for everybody's knowledge. It's still OPSEC. Yeah, I don't know what's there. Maybe Space Corps. Don't know. But yeah, like, so my training was like 2 years old. So the kind of stuff you're talking about where we had to carry like this job specific duties under what? Oh shit, that's some mad money. How big was the sign-on bonus? Like 40K or something? That's wild. Oh, that's one of the cool ones. Holy shit. Yeah, my basic training was 10 weeks. My language training was fucking year and a half. And then my advanced training was another 4 months. So it was a long fucking training. And TRADOC is like so draconian. It's wild. But the kind of job duty specific thing you're talking about would have been at AIT. And then we carry like a specific amount of weight that is relevant for our job. We learned how to use the gear of our job. And we learned how to do stuff that I can't talk about. I'm so snotty recently. Broadly, what does a military linguist do? I translate things. That's what I can say. I translate things. That's my job. I specifically translate text or things that I hear, on the news or something. But other people are more focused on like doing interviews and stuff. And that's all you're getting out of me. Alright, take care, War Boss. Have fun. It is a very autistic job. Alright, you want to know how autistic my job is, or how neurodivergent my job is? My job is so neurodivergent that when we have Sexual Assault Awareness Month, they hand us what the fuck? They hand us fidget spinners with the sexual assault number on it. Like, shit. That's how fucking neurodivergent we are. Honestly, you could do well with this job, but we'd still have to survive training and rigid military discipline. The structure of the military is actually useful to some people with neurodivergence. Like in my workplace, you can see on everyone's desk, like everyone has fidget spinners, Rubik's cubes, anime stuff. It is wild, absolutely wild. We used to have pride flags around the workplace too until some things changed. Everything changed. When our president made his lawfully abiding decisions. Yes, of course. Definitely. But yeah. Let me tell you, being in training for... Yeah, you couldn't register unless due to generalized anxiety. Oh, fuck. Yeah. Oh, no, my brain. Yeah, anxiety disorder. I mean, that's not fully disqualifying if you're, like, under treatment and you can handle it. That is something you can get a waiver for. Sorry, I just started listening to the music. Yeah, lawful orders, definitely. Of course. My lawful order is to be on administrative break until further notice. But yeah, that's kind of my military story there. If you have any questions, I'm down to answer them, and I'll say what I can. Still active duty.